Good evening, everyone. What a good night it's been. My story is about living pods. I'm an architect. I've been working in Canberra for about 24 years. And our approach to an alternative view of housing came from three directions through my experiences through life. The first one was when I was born. I lived in Sydney for 6 years. And my parents bought a house for twice their annual income. I then moved through life and have a partner and have 2 children and 2 grandchildren. And when we bought a house 20 years ago, it cost 4 times our annual income. I have now a daughter who is 30, and to buy her house, or my house, is now about 10 times her annual income. So we started thinking over the last few years, how does someone like my children's generation get into homes? The second part came at the other end of the spectrum as we watched our parents move towards behaving like children as they got older and started passing away. So I have a mother left who has had to sell her home because it's too big to look after. And so now she has moved into a village and a nursing home, and my father passed away in a place that I don't want to end up in. I actually want to end up in a place with dignity and a place that I can connect with. The idea of living pods came about as a way of addressing an opportunity that exists for house sites that sit at the edge of multi-unit development in any city. So we have in our planning regs the opportunity to build a single house on many sites that sit around the 2-storey and 3-storey multi-unit sites, for example in Canberra. But what you are allowed to do on a single house site is you can build up to 50%, for example, in some cases. The regulations vary from place to place. But you can actually cover the site with a large floor area. And so what we've started to approach these sites with is it's either a site that is empty and you can start from scratch, or it's a site that has an existing house that we can subdivide and create opportunities for multiple living habitats on that site. The idea of a living pod is basically creating a micro village on a single house site. What they are is they're a series of spaces that are built as small as 10 square metres, then expanding in size up to several rooms, bedrooms, bathrooms, kitchens and so on. But the idea is to create an environment that enables someone to start at birth on that site and retain that site for their entire lives. Not everyone will want to do that, of course. Plenty of people like to travel. But a lot of people are forced to sell their home that they've spent their life with because they can no longer keep it. They can't extract the capital that's in that house. So they obtain a means of seeing out the rest of their lives by selling the one thing that worked very hard to keep. So we've started to engage with people in the community who are keeping their home and starting to build living pods as a way of gaining revenue, as a place to move, so they can rent their main home. And I was talking with a couple tonight. It's not a granny flat because we're in the 21st century. So we are now looking at living pods that are 10-star design. They're passive house design, like you've all seen on Grand Designs. They're connected. They all have, because they can be small, and you might have 4 or 5 living pods on any one site, they are all connected by covered ways, so they can morph into an expanded family or shrink and have students, visitors, people coming from overseas, refugees, elderly, friends of yours who want to move closer because they've lost their partner. The idea was to create a setting that could be dynamic through the entire lifespan of a human being. Most of us potentially will live to 100, which is an enormous amount of time. And I know in my 20s and 30s, I never really thought about any of that. But at this stage, when you start seeing my children and their children, and my parents and so on, you start to get a bit of perspective about how those needs might change and how they could be met by an approach to a micro-village. The living pods themselves all have a space that allows an airlock, which is like a sun trap, and a space to grow food, and a space to attenuate the temperature extremes between our summer and winter. There's a picture there of current designs that we're looking at. I spoke with a builder the other day, and I did a curved shape, and he said, does it have to have a curved roof? It was really a graphic. The point I'm making is these spaces can move from a very small space to a very large space. The idea that we're working on is to giving people the opportunity to move through life and interact with the various types of experiences you have every decade and every generation, and to give some say into how they finish their world at the end.